So I'm currently on the phone with Tony A. He's another musician that reached out about the current interview series. So I'm going to go ahead and give him the chance to introduce himself.
Hey everyone, my name is Tony A, and I am a pop soul recording artist from White Marsh, Maryland. I have been doing music for most of my life, but professionally, probably for about 8 to 10 years. And I have been fortunate enough to travel, share. My music is all about being authentic to yourself. It's all about infusing different styles of music, fun energy, and just telling stories musically. I love complex ideas and thoughts, and I love kind of layering messages and kind of fusing together all the different crazy things that go in my mind.
Awesome. So, tell me about how you first found music and connected with it, and made you want to pursue a life making music.
So, music has always been a part of my life. My family, it was ingrained, be it we were cleaning the house or at a family event or going to church or anything like that. I feel like music has always been around me. It was probably about in the fifth grade where I really started to take it seriously as far as really wanting to do it long term as a career. I joined the school music program and just kind of learned the ropes and got thrown into it. And I fell in love with just the way that music connects people. It really helped me. I started getting into music when I moved out to Albuquerque, New Mexico with my family. So it was like in an area that was completely different from what I was used to. The one thing that brought me comfort and made me feel welcome in a new environment was that music. And I felt like I could connect to people with that. And I just always did it ever since then. So
All
that's really
right.
where the inspiration came.
Sure, definitely. So once you kind of figured out that that was, a part of who you are, what were your first steps into working with others or writing for yourself or producing music? Give me some detail about that.
So that was actually a really long journey. My background was in like choral music, classically trained. Um, so I was always more so about kind of like receiving a piece of music, becoming the character, learning to portray someone else's story. And I continued that when I got older. I went to study music at Morgan State University. And that was really where I started to find my own voice as far as having opportunities to perform at different open mics, events, and be in charge of music ideas and programs. And I kind of just started putting pen to paper, and I got a lot of opportunities to be in safe spaces where I could kind of share it out and be like, hey, this is what I was working on. Don't really know what's going to happen from it. And I got really good at that. And then I started arranging, doing like special arrangements and special covers of songs for groups. And eventually I just kept that going for myself. And I think it was probably about 2015 where I finally had the confidence to say, you know what, you're good enough. You can go ahead and try to do this for yourself. And I started writing more seriously.
Okay, now when you say putting pen to paper, does that mean writing lyrics or staffing? Like, give me a bit of detail about that.
So definitely for me, it was ideas and lyrics. I'm one of those people that like sometimes I'll just be somewhere and an idea or a melody or a thought will come into my brain and it will just be stuck there. And I'll have to write it down. I'll have to do a quick record of it on my phone while I'm driving or something like that. And then I'll just sit there with it for a while. But I've always been very big on writing strong and powerful lyrics. I love telling a story. And so I would just write stories and poems and just things that I would break down, and then I would structure it as a song for whatever it was I was trying to convey.
Okay. And so at some point, did you start working with a producer to start putting beats to those lyrics, or how did you approach getting, a more fleshed out project?
So the when I first started doing it, I actually was able to work with my now husband. Then we were still dating, but he's a pianist. And so I used to stress him out because he's a classically trained pianist. And I would sit him downstairs And I would say, I don't have anything written down. I have no plan. Just go with the flow. um, and for hours, I would spend working with him, like working out what I wanted this beat and this melody line to be underneath my words. And that was how I started out. I did maybe about my first three projects that I did were completely arranged, written by me just out of my brain. And then as I got a little bit more confident, then I started to reach out to different producers and really found people who I felt resonated with my sound and my vision and could take what was going on in my brain and really manifest it into something amazing. And so I started working with a lot of great producers, and the rest is history.
Okay. And with those producers that you're working with, were those the type of producers to sit down with you and actually kind of conceptualize the style and tonality of the music that you're looking for, or was it more along the lines of putting lyrics to a beat kind of thing? What was that process like?
So I've had a mixture of both. Um, for the most part, I've been fortunate enough to find producers. They'll listen to my music, they'll listen to what I do, then we'll sit down and we'll kind of talk through the ideas. I'll show them what I've written. I'll kind of sing to them the melodies that I have, and then I'll ask and give inspiration. So I'll say, in my mind, this song has a little bit of When Doves Cries by Prince meets, I don't know, feels like a woman, Shania Twain, because I'm that random.
Okay.
And I'll be like, I want something that blends the two of those together, but also tells the story. And then I'll give it to them and I'll just tell them to present something. But I always tell them to never lose their voice in it, because I'm very big on, when I work with a producer, I'm working with you because I want you to integrate a little bit of your style and sound into my sound to create something new and that's stronger.
Okay. And so where does that kind of, build you up to kind of where you are now? What are you working on and what are you looking forward to?
So now I'm just now coming off of my second studio pop album, which is called Retrograde, which is out and infuses a lot of sounds that I was influenced by from my childhood. So I was born in the late 80s. So growing up as a millennial, the late 90s R&B and pop, early 2000s pop, R&B, country, alternative rock were all major influences for me, along with musical theater and classical. And then I would mix that with like the music of my parents' generation, so the late 60s, 70s, and early 80s, and came out with a very cool fusion style that sounded new but also sounded familiar, to really make the listener be excited with what they were hearing. And I'm actually continuing that. I'm pushing boundaries even further. I'm working on my third studio album now. Um, I'm hoping to have something released probably near the end of next year or the year after that. But I'm just taking it a step further, elevating my sound, more sophisticated concepts. I'm in this stage where I want my music to transition well. And so this next album is going to be very big on kind of like the instrumental transitions and how everything just kind of flows from beginning to end of the project.
Awesome. So, do you think with that being in mind, you'll kind of put more of your artistic opinion into the instrumentation and then the progressions and the writing of all of that?
Absolutely. I've been fortunate enough. When I was younger, I got a chance to direct a choir and a band, and that really helped me with just being able to see every piece of the construction of music and being confident in expressing what I want. So some artists, they kind of won't be able to know like how to speak to a producer or to an instrumentalist or to the background singers or whoever to really convey what they want. But because I have that background and that experience of having done that, I've always felt confident enough to really dive in and be able to say, even if it's not something that I can naturally do, this is what I want you to do. This is how I want you to do it. And this is what it's going to sound like coming out of it. And it just I make sure everything ties into the message of the song, but also fits the style that we're trying to present.
Okay. And so let's just backtrack a little bit. You said, you just put out your second studio album. What are kind of your promotional and touring plans for that? Where would you like to see that, get?
Gosh, I would love to go everywhere. I've been fortunate enough with this last album. I made it out to Canada for the first time, which was an amazing experience. And I performed there. I would love to go back to Canada and tour again. I'd love to go to Mexico. I'd love to go overseas. Um, I would I would love to go all throughout the country sharing music. As a I'm a black artist and a queer artist, so anywhere where I can be of a great representation for that is always awesome. Um, but I really just want to take my sound and music anywhere I go. I would love to go to Japan at some point and sing and share because I'm a huge fan of Japanese culture and anime and different things like that. So the sky's the limit for me in my mind. I want to go anywhere that they're going to hear me.
Excellent. And then along those similar lines, looking down into your future and then as your career grows, where would you like to see yourself as a musician, be in 5 to 10 years?
In 5 to 10 years, I hope that I would be regularly being able to travel and tour and perform um, as an artist and really also be able to host events where I give a platform to other artists. That's really important to me because I was lucky enough to get a platform to see the success that I've had. So I always have a piece of me that wants to give back to that and do that kind of work. So I would love to be one of those artists that spends like half the years touring, performing on the stage, doing stuff for shows, movies, TVs, projects, collaborations. And then for the other half of the year, just creating events and platforms for other artists who want to grow up and be able to do the same thing.
Awesome. So, it sounds like you spent a good amount of time kind of conceptualizing who you are as an artist, working with other artists and producers and things like that. What are some of, the most prominent memories that stand out to you that kind of, have indicated that you're on the right path and you're doing what, is easement to your soul kind of thing?
Sure. I have a couple. One memory that I have is when I got a chance to sing for the Kennedy Center Honors. We were honoring Elton John. And I remember singing and performing. We were performing his song, literally titled Your Song. I'm in the closing, singing behind Heather Headley, which was amazing. And I distinctly remember when he stood up and got emotional, and he literally gave us a standing ovation for so long that they couldn't air the whole thing on TV. But he gave us a standing ovation. He was bowing towards us, and he wanted us to restart the song, and we did. And I just loved it was so amazing to see an icon that I looked up to just truly enjoying what I was putting out there. And then recently I did a show where I was probably in the middle of the program, but I started to do my first song, one of my singles called Authentic. And by the time I got to the chorus, this entire club that maybe had about maybe 50 or 60 people. Like it wasn't a huge amount, but they all started to sing my song like loudly. It was resonating. And I just paused for a moment and I got emotional. And it was just like, you can really do this. It's, people get you. And that was a great feeling to just feel validated as an artist in that way. So those are two of my greatest memories that I've had probably recently, but I've got so many that I've always reaffirmed that I'm on the right track.
Sure, definitely. Yeah, those are very strong moments for sure. So where can people check you out and follow you on social media and everything?
Yeah, I am everywhere. So you can find me on all social media platforms pretty much: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. All of it is official Tony A. So it's official Tony. A is spelled Aye. Um, you can also find me, if anybody listens to music and stuff like that, on Discord. I'm on the Discord feeds and chats. I'm a gamer, so I'm on tons of those platforms as well that play music. Spotify, Pandora, my music is everywhere. You can just type in Tony A. Make sure you put the exclamation point because I always want you excited when you say my name. And you can always hear me. Feel free to reach out, follow me, talk with me. I love engaging with new fans.
Excellent. And so I always like to give the person I'm interviewing the opportunity to put out their last words. So just a message that you feel you resonate with.
I would just say that I believe that for every artist, there's a period of time where you spend all your energy learning how to write, sing, create, whatever, in the way of the people that you idolize or what you think the public wants to hear. And I just want to challenge you to just fight that part of yourself and just be you. I spent most of my career figuring out how to be true to myself. And the minute that I was true to myself and my words and my sound and stopped being so worried about sounding like what I thought people wanted to hear, that's really when stuff started to take off for me. So nobody's ever going to be able to communicate your art and your music and your craft and your words or your vision the way that you can. So trust in yourself. And even if it seems weird, that just makes it different. And different is great when you're an artist because that's what makes people draw to us because they connect with something that we put out there. So be your true, weird, kooky, and complex self, and the success will follow.